Hello, and welcome to the Hampden Arms virtual quiz. Okay, good evening and welcome to the first Hampden virtual quiz. Now, you're going to have to bear with me, I'm afraid, because there's actually a lag time of about 15 seconds. So what I'm saying now is very much out of time to what you're all seeing on YouTube. So bear with me and we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to keep the chat open for a little while longer on the YouTube page. So please, if you can't hear me, let me know, okay? But I hope you're all excited. It's the first time we're doing something like this, so I hope it goes very well. So, as you will have hopefully seen in the description, we've got 6 rounds of 10 questions. Now, the overall points for the quiz is going to be 80 points across the 6 rounds. But I will go through the points at each stage, okay? So before each round, I will give you the number of points available for each round. So I do hope that you're not too bored in lockdown and that you are keeping yourselves occupied. I'm expecting all of your gardens to look lovely for those of you who have got them. So let's get started. Well, actually, no, let's just double check. Can everyone hear me okay? And is everyone getting a good feed through their TV system or their laptop? Okay, I'll just wait for the excellent, good. Okay, so right, so if we are now ready, I'm going to, yes, Mickey Thorpe, do write your answers on a bit of paper, otherwise you're not going to remember them because all of the results are going to come at the end of the quiz. Are there any other questions before I end the chat? Because the last thing I want to do is be giving you questions and people to be putting the answers up in the chat as we go along, okay? So, whilst I'm waiting for the last couple of questions to come through, then I will go through a bit of the layout on what we're going to do. So, the first round is going to be on English and literature. Okay. This round is going to be 10 questions and there are going to be 12 available points. And sorry, I'm just reading through all of the comments at the moment. Yeah, definitely. Alice is right. If you can't hear or see me, now is the right time to refresh the page and it should be working a-okay. If it's easy, Kate, it wouldn't be a quiz. Right, now I've just got to try and figure out how to end the chat. Live chat. Ah, here we go. So we are going to... Right, I'm going to turn off the live chat now. Okay. Because the sooner we can get started, the better. I'm very excited to be hosting this evening. Right. So, let's get started. The first round, as I said, is English and literature. At the moment. There are 12 available points, and I will let you know when there are additional bonus points for each question. Okay? So, question 1, who wrote Pride and Prejudice? Again, Who wrote Pride and Prejudice? It's easy, Kate. It wouldn't be a quiz. Prejudice. Question 2. Again. Christopher Paolini wrote which 4-book cycle? Wouldn't be a quiz. Christopher Paolini wrote which 4-book cycle? Again. Now, if you can't think of the name of the series off the top of your head, you can instead name 2 of the books in that cycle and you will still get a point. But there are no bonus points awarded for this question. You can instead name 2 of the books in that cycle and you will still get Question 3. What was the first mass-printed book? Okay. What was the first mass-printed book? Now, for this question, you can get an additional point if you also tell me the century that it was first printed. Mass-printed book. Now, for this question, you can get an additional point if you also tell me the century that it was first printed. Mass-printed book. Now. Okay. So I had a couple of people saying that you got a bit of reverse echo. Let me know if that sorted it out. Sorry, I'm just waiting for the answers of that last bit to see whether I've got the sound system sorted out. Oh, good. Okay, so I've got people saying that yes, it has been sorted. So on that note, I'm then going to go on to question 4. Name the missing character from this well-known. Has been sorted. So name the character from. Name the missing character from this well-known family. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Charlie, and Bill. So question 4 is name the missing character from this well-known family. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Charlie, and Bill. Okay. Question 5. In Old English, what is a doodle sack? Now that is spelt D-O-O-D-L-E and then sack, as in like a sack of potatoes. So in Old English, what is a doodle sack? Question 6. Who is Robert Galbraith? Who is Robert Galbraith? Question 7. Who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, and the BFG? Who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, and the BFG? Okay. Question 8. William Wordsworth wrote I wandered lonely as a cloud. However, can you finish this sentence? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over what and what? William Wordsworth wrote I wandered lonely as a cloud. However, can you finish this sentence? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over what and what? From which Shakespearean play does this quote originate? The lady doth protest too much, methinks. That's question 9. From which Shakespearean play does this quote originate? The lady doth protest too much, methinks. Now, on this one, you can get an extra point if you give me the act and the scene, but they both have to be correct for you to get the bonus point. And last question of the English and literature round, which you'll be pleased to know, I'm sure, is who wrote the poem To a Mouse? So who wrote the poem To a Mouse? Okay, so I hope you had fun in the English and literature, but now we are going to move on to the geography round. Okay, so pens at the ready for question. Sorry, I should say that in this round there are 11 available points. Again, I will let you know when there is an extra point available. But to begin with, question 1. Where in the world is Old Faithful? Okay, I want you to be a little bit more precise here. Don't just give me a generic continent or country. I want a more specific location. Question 2. Which settlement is the farthest away from the sea on the UK mainland? So that's which settlement is the farthest away from the sea on the UK mainland? So which settlement is furthest away from any sea? Question 3. Which is the largest loch in Scotland by surface area, not necessarily by volume? Okay. Which is the largest loch in Scotland by surface area? Question 4. Which county is regarded as the Garden of England? Which county is regarded as the Garden of England? Now, there is a bonus point for question 5, okay? So, question 5. What is Chicxulub? Again, what is Chicxulub? And the bonus point is if you give me its location. Right. Question 6. What is the southernmost point of Great Britain mainland? And this is a trick question. It's not the most extreme end of Great British mainland. It's the southernmost point. So again, question 6. What is the southernmost point of Great British mainland? Question 7. What is the largest mountain range in Europe? What is the largest mountain range in Europe? Okay. Question 8. What is the name of the Dartford Crossing Bridge? Question 8. What is the name of the Dartford Crossing Bridge? Question 9. Where in the world would you typically find a wild duck-billed platypus? Where in the world would you typically find a wild duck-billed platypus? And the last question of the geography round is question 10. How many time zones are there in Brazil? How many time zones are there in Brazil? For those of you who wonder why I'm smiling, it's because I've still got access to a specific WhatsApp group where I'm still monitoring all of the comments that are going up. I can confirm, though, that there is no cheating on that group. Round 3 is the science and medicine round. So this is probably my second favourite round for obvious reasons. But in this round, there are 15 points to gain out of 10 questions. So again, I will go through each time and let you know how many points are awarded where. So question 1 for science and medicine. Oh, hang on. Okay, there we go. Question 1 for science and medicine. In which part of the body would you find the tragus? In which part of the body would you find the tragus? Question 2. What element from the periodic table is represented as a capital C and a little s? So that's CS. What element from the periodic table is represented as CS? Question 3. Which toxic metal was used in old thermometers? Which toxic metal was used in old thermometers? Question 4. How many moons does Pluto have? How many moons does Pluto have? Now, for this question, you get a bonus point for each of the moons if you can name them. I'm not going to tell you how many there are, it defeats the point of the question, but for every moon that you name, you may get an extra point. Question 5. What is the most abundant element in the universe? Question 5. What is the most abundant element in the universe? Question 6. What is the most abundant protein in the human body? What is the most abundant protein in the body? Okay. Question 7. Which nuclear process runs nuclear power plants? Is it fission or fusion? Which nuclear process runs nuclear power plants? Is it fission or fusion? Okay, question 8. Visible light that we see is part of what spectrum? visible light that we see is part of what spectrum? Question 9. How much does 100 millilitres of water weigh? How much does 100 millilitres of water weigh? And I would like this measurement in grams, please. Question 10, which for some of you, I'm guessing you're going to be very thankful that is going to be the last question in the science and medicine round, is what are the names of the two pressures you measure when taking somebody's blood pressure? What are the names of the two pressures that you measure when taking somebody's blood pressure? Right. So that is the end of the first 3 rounds. Okay. Hopefully it's not gone too quickly. I haven't gone too fast. I may possibly give you an opportunity at the end to repeat some questions, and I can open up the feed for that. But right now, it's going to be your break time. So please go and have a quick comfort break. Go and get a drink. Go and do whatever you want. And we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes. Okay? So until then, be comfortable. Okay, and welcome back. So I'm just going to leave the live chat on YouTube open for a little bit longer. For the hawk-eyed of you, you would have seen that I did actually open it up about halfway through the break, but hopefully we are all fed and watered now and feeling much better and ready and raring to go for the next round. Or the next 3 rounds, I should say. Okay. So I've been asked to go a little bit slower, which I'm absolutely fine with. I am willing to go a little bit slower, but at the end, I'm just going to make sure that I repeat some of the questions from the start at the end of the quiz. And that's going to be probably in round 1, questions 1 to 5. Okay. But again, as I said, I'll do that at the end of the quiz. So let's just do. Okay. So I believe we are all ready to go ahead. There doesn't seem to be much activity going on YouTube, so I will turn the chat off again soon. I'm just fixing a new round. Well, not a new round, just a new display for when I repeat some of the questions. Okay. Right. Okay. And now we are ready and raring to go. So we're going to turn the chat off again. If I can remember how to. Okay, there we go. And I'll make sure that I'm going slower. Okay. So, round 4. Now this undoubtedly is going to be my favourite round. So, it's my favourite round. I've even had to come up with a short description on what I'm going to be doing in this round. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory from the title. It's lyrics. But I'm going to give you some lyrics, and you are going to need to give me the name of the song and the artist whom originally wrote the song. Okay, so you get 1 point for the name and 1 point for the song, which means that if you get all 20 answers, you get 20 points. So this is a 10 question round, but it's worth 20 points. So I believe we are all ready and raring to go. So I will start with question 1. Please give me the name and so the author and the song. Okay. Sorry, the singer, not the author, the singer and the song. 1. Heaven or hell? Blue skies from pain. Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail? Question 1 again. Heaven or hell? Blue skies from pain. Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail? Okay. Question 2. I was a lonely teenage bronkin buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck. Question 2. I was a lonely teenage bronkin buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck. I hope you will appreciate how difficult it is to just say these lyrics without singing them. It's very hard to try and say it without any tune whatsoever. Okay. Question 3. Almost Heaven, West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Three is Almost Heaven, West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Question 4. They say, "Oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine." Question 4. They say, "Oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hands, my dear, and place them both in mine." Remember, we're looking for both the name of the song and the original artist. Okay. Question 5. At break of day, when that man drove away, I was waiting. I crossed the street to her house, and she opened the door. 5. At break of day, when that man drove away, I was waiting. I crossed the street to her house, and she opened the door. 'I'm giving you plenty of time to try and work these out. Lots of them aren't particularly hard. Some of them are harder than others. 6. Now I'm floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, I earned my stripes. I went from zero to my own hero. 6. Now I'm floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, I earned my stripes. I went from zero to my own hero. 7. So why were you holding her hand? Is that the way we stand? Were you lying all the time? Was it just a game to you? 7. So why were you holding her hand? Is that the way we stand? Were you lying all the time? Was it just a game to you? This is thirsty work, you know. Question 8. To you, I would give the world. To you, I'd never be cold. 'Cause when I feel that when I'm with you, it's all right. I know it's right. Question 8. To you, I would give the world. To you, I'd never be cold. 'Cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's all right. I know it's right. Okay. Everyone loves a good lyrics round, don't they? Right. Question 9. Well, I don't know why she's leaving or where she's going to go. I guess she's got her reasons, but I just don't want to know. Question 9. Well, I don't know why she's leaving or where she's going to go. I guess she's got her reasons, but I just don't want to know. Okay. Sorry, I need the drink for this next one. Okay. Your last question of the lyrics round. Question 10. And I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know. I know that I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. Sorry, it's just made me giggle. When I was writing that, I thought I've got to put that one at the end. There's no way I could do that at like question 2 and then keep a straight face through the rest of it. Question 10. And I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. I know. I know, I know, 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 I know, I know. I know, I know. I really hope that nobody asked to repeat that at the end. I've had a few requests of people asking to repeat it. I'm not going to repeat it now. Okay. But what I will do is we'll move on to the next round shortly. Okay. So the next round is going to be on sports. Right. Okay. Sports. Round 5. Question 1. Who won their first Formula One World Championship title in 2008? Who won their first Formula One Championship title in 2008? Right. Question 2. Who captained the England football team in the 2018 World Cup? Who captained the England football team in the 2018 World Cup? Question 3. Who won the Six Nations rugby tournament in 2019? Who won the Six Nations rugby tournament in 2019? Right, in cricket. Question 4. In cricket, what is the name of the individual who tactically throws the ball at the batsman? Question 4. In cricket, what is the name of the individual who tactically throws the ball at the batsman? Question 5. Who won the 2019 Oxford-Cambridge boat race on the Thames? Question 5. Who won the 2019 Oxford-Cambridge boat race on the River Thames? Question 6. Whom hosted the 2004 Summer Olympic Games? Whom hosted the 2004 Summer Olympic Games? Now, you can either give me the country or the city, it doesn't matter. Okay. And I think we're going to come on to question 7. In the Highland Games, what event involves two teams pulling a rope against each other in order for a flag to pass a certain marker declaring them the winners? Question 7. In the Highland Games, what event involves two teams pulling a rope against each other in order for a flag to pass a certain marker declaring them the winners? Okay. Question 8. How many strokes are there in competitive swimming? How many strokes are there in competitive swimming? Question 8. If you can name them all, you get 2 extra points. When I'm giving you the results, I will tell you how often or how many points are worth how many answers. But until then, if you can name all of them, you get 2 extra points. Okay. Question 9. What is the current free diving world record? What is the current free diving world record? And you can be accurate within 10 meters, okay? So, this brings us onto our last question of the sports round. Question 10. In snooker, how many points is the blue ball worth? Question 10. In snooker, how many points is the blue ball worth? While you're just finishing off those answers, I will tell you a little bit more about this next round. So, this next round is going to be 10 questions, as has all of the other rounds been. However, this is going to be 10 questions and they're going to be worth 10 points. So you know that there's going to be no bonus points for this extra round. And let's bring you into the know-how on what this is going to entail. Okay. Now, I'm very much aware that the news of late has been utterly bombarded by COVID-19. So I just wanted to make sure that you are all living outside of the COVID bubble and actually paying attention to what else is going on out in that big old world of ours. So hopefully this is going to allow you to think, actually, no, I do know what's going on outside of the world, but if not, then I hope it's going to be a recurring theme in any future quizzes, that actually it gives you the opportunity to be able to think, oh, let's find out what else is going on outside of your home, outside of your local village, outside of the country, and find out what's going on in the wider world. So let's start with question 1 on the current news round. Question 1. Which individual removed funding for the World Health Organization accusing it of having failed in its basic duty. Which individual removed funding for the World Health Organization, accusing it of having failed in its basic duty? Okay. Question 2. Which European country has recently allowed younger children under the age of 11 to return to school? Which European country has recently allowed younger children under the age of 11 to return to school? Question 3. Which country held its National Assembly election this week, whilst all 66% of the country's population that turned out adhered to social distancing measures? So which country held its National Assembly its National Assembly election this week, whilst all 66% of the country's population that turned out adhered to social distancing measures? Question 4. Which famous author recently, secretly, bought their childhood home in order to renovate it? Question 4. Which famous author recently secretly bought their childhood home in order to renovate it? Question 5. Which long-standing controversial infrastructure-related construction plan has recently got the green light to go ahead with construction despite UK-wide lockdown? Question 5. Which long-standing controversial infrastructure-related construction plan has recently got the green light to go ahead with construction despite UK-wide lockdown? And that is not a very easy question to say because it's quite wordy, long words. Okay, question 6. What food tree is at risk of the deadly pathogen Xylella fastidiosa, causing a potential crisis for many worldwide? What food tree is at risk of the deadly pathogen Xylella fastidiosa, causing a potential crisis for many worldwide? Question 7. Who is currently the #1 hit star on the youth-related app of TikTok? Who is currently the #1 hit star on the youth-related app of TikTok? Question 8. Which boy band with hit songs such as History, Kiss You, and Story of My Life is toying with the idea of a reunion? Question 8. Which boy band with hit songs such as History, Kiss You, and Story of My Life is toying with the idea of a reunion? Question 9. What has recently been threatening the old Chernobyl nuclear power plant that was only recently brought under control by the local authorities? What has recently been threatening the old Chernobyl power plant that has only been recently brought under control by the local authorities? And your last question of tonight, question 10. Which WWE announcer has died today at the age of 69? Question 10. Which WWE announcer has died today at the age of 69? Okay, so that concludes our current quiz. So I do hope that you enjoyed all 6 rounds of 10 questions. As said, they are out of 80 overall points. And before I go through which points are for which round, I will open the floor and I will put back the live chat to allow for any repeat questions should there be a want of them. So the live chat should be live right now. So I'm just waiting for it to now buffer, and hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, so I've got some questions for the first 4. I was always going to do the first 5 of round 1 because I think there was a bit of an audio glitch, but hopefully that will have sorted itself out by now. Right, round 1, question 2. Right, so I'm just going to repeat currently round 1 up to question 5, okay? So round 1 was English and literature. Question 1 was whom wrote Pride and Prejudice? Whom wrote Pride and Prejudice? Question 2 of round 1 was Christopher Paolini wrote which 4-book cycle? Christopher Paolini wrote which 4-book cycle? Now for this question, I allowed a point to be given if 2 of the 4 books could be named, but the title of the cycle could not. So if you can't remember the name of the whole cycle, then by all means, just write down 2 of the books that you can think of that were included within that series. Question 3 of round 1 was what was the first mass printed book? What was the first mass printed book? And you got an extra point if you could also name the century that it was first printed. Okay, question 4 of round 1 was name the missing character from this well-known family. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Charlie, and Bill. So name the missing character from this well-known family. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Bill, and Charlie. Question 5 of round 1 was in Old English, what is a doodle sack? In Old English, what is a doodle sack? Question 6 of round 1 was who is Robert Galbraith? Who is Robert Galbraith? Now, I also got asked for question 8 and question 10 of round 1, so I will only repeat those unless I get any further requests of any repeats. So, question 8 of round 1 was William Wordsworth wrote I wandered lonely as a cloud. However, can you finish this sentence? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er what and what? William Wordsworth wrote I wandered lonely as a cloud. However, can you finish this sentence? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over what and what? Question 10 of round 1. Whom wrote the poem To a Mouse? Whom wrote the poem To a Mouse? Okay, so I have also been asked for question 5 of the geography round, so I will repeat that. Oh, it had to be that one, didn't it? Question 5 of round 2, which is geography. Question 5. What is Chicxulub? I will spell it out for everyone. It is CHICXULUB. What is Chicxulub? CHICXULUB. And there is a bonus point if you can give me its location. So that question is worth 2 points if you can get both what is the answer plus where is it in the world. I've just been asked for question 2 on the geography round, so I will say that, or I will give you the question again. Question 2, round 2. Which settlement is the farthest away from the sea on the UK mainland? So which settlement is the farthest away from the sea on the UK mainland? Okay. Right. If there aren't any more questions that need repeating, I am going to give everybody a quick break, okay, before I do the answers, because I know that it's going to involve a lot of brain power having done those last 3 rounds. And I know I, for one, could use the toilet. So I will leave the YouTube chat open. So if anyone can think of any more questions that they want repeated, let me know. Otherwise, I will come back in about 5 minutes' time. So when my time says 21:33, and then we will get going with the results. But until then, I will see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, and welcome back. I hope your 5-minute comfort break was worth it. I know mine was. So I've got a couple more questions that I've been asked to repeat, which I am absolutely fine with repeating. So they are round 1, question 4. Name the missing character from this well-known family. For those of you who asked to repeat it again, I suggest you have a pen and paper at hand so you can write down the names. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Charlie, and Bill. Once again, name the missing character from this well-known family. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Charlie, and Bill. We also had somebody ask for round 2, question 7. What is the largest mountain range in Europe? What is the largest mountain range in Europe? We had 2 more. We had round 3, question 5, which was, what is the most abundant element in the universe? What is the most abundant element in the universe? Round 3, question 8 was, visible light that we see is part of what spectrum? Visible light that we see is part of what spectrum? Okay. Now, I believe that is it for all of the repeat questions. Okay, yes, it is. So I will go on to give you the answers. So, crunch time. Round 1 was the English and Literature quiz, and for this round there were 12 available points out of 10 questions. The answer to question 1 was who wrote Pride and Prejudice? The answer was, of course, Jane Austen. Question 2. Christopher Paolini wrote which 4-book cycle? The answer was Inheritance. However, if you couldn't remember the name of the overall title of the cycle, I gave you the opportunity to write down 2 books within that cycle and you would have got the point. So you could have had Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, or Inheritance. Okay. Now then, question 3. What was the first mass-printed book? And you got an extra point for the century. So the first mass-printed book was the Gutenberg Bible. Okay. The answer to question 3, round 1, was the Gutenberg Bible. And the bonus point, if you got it, was that it was published, or first printed in the 15th century? That's 15 century. Question 4 of round 1 was name the missing character from this well-known family. Ron, Percy, Ginny, Molly, Arthur, Fred, Charlie and Bill. Of course, this was the Weasley family from the Harry Potter Chronicles. And as such, the missing character was, of course, George Weasley. Of course it was going to be after me. I wrote the blimmin' quiz. Question 5 of round 1 was in Old English, what is a doodle sack? And that is bagpipes. So well done if you managed to get bagpipes from a doodle sack. Round 1, question 5. In Old English, round 1, question 6. Who is Robert Galbraith? And of course, that is the pseudonym for J.K. Rowling. So that was the answer. The answer for question 6 was J.K. Rowling. I'm going to go quickly back to question 3. If you wrote the Bible, you can have half a point. You cannot have a whole point. That is not the answer. The answer is the Gutenberg Bible. If you have not written the Gutenberg Bible, you get half a point. If you get the century, you still get an extra point, but you don't get the whole 2 points. Question 7 of round 1 was who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda and the BFG? And the answer to that is, of course, Roald Dahl. Question 8 of round 1 was William Wordsworth wrote I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. However, could you finish this sentence? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. So the answer that we were looking for was vales and hills. Question 9 from round 1 was from which Shakespearean play does this quote originate? The lady doth protest too much, methinks. And you got an extra point for the act and the scene. This was not Parliament with Maggie Thatcher, but of course Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 2. Okay, so that was Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 2. And the last question of the English and Literature round, question 10, who wrote the poem To a Mouse? It was one of my all-time favourite authors. It was Robert Burns. So some of you may remember the more famous quote, the best laid plans of mice and men gang after glee. That comes from the Robert Burns poem of To a Mouse, and is also, coincidentally, what the book of Mice and Men was based on. So the scores on the door, you could have got 12 points for that round, so tally them up before we go on to round 2, which was geography. Question 1. Where in the world is Old Faithful? For those of you who know, Old Faithful is a massive geyser in Yellowstone National Park. which was indeed the answer we were looking for, Yellowstone National Park or Wyoming. If you put America or the US, I kind of said in the question it wasn't quite enough. You needed to be a bit more specific, so I'll give you half a point. But you can only get the full point if you put Yellowstone National Park or Wyoming. Question 2. Which settlement is farthest away from the sea on the UK mainland? And that was Cotton in the Elms in Derbyshire, which is 70 miles away from the coast at its closest point. So the answer to question 2 was Cotton in the Elms in Derbyshire. Question 3. Which is the largest loch in Scotland by surface area, not volume? And this was, of course, Loch Lomond, which was 71 kilometres square, whereas Loch Ness is only 56 kilometres squared. Now, I believe Loch Ness is bigger in volume because it's deeper, but looking at it from the surface, Loch Lomond is actually larger than Loch Ness. Question 4. Which country is regarded as the Garden of England? That is, of course, our close neighbour, Kent. Question 5. What is Chicxulub? And a bonus point for its location. Now, Chicxulub is a massive meteor crater, and it is located in Mexico. It's called Chicxulub because that is where the center of the crater is and where it was the closest settlement to the center of the crater. So naturally, it only seems fitting to give the name of the crater after the town that it's been built into. Okay. Question 6. What is the southernmost point of Great British mainland? And this was not a trick question, and it was asking not for the most extreme end, but the southernmost point, which is, of course, Lizard Point. Do you know, Land's End, rather, is probably the most extreme end of Great Britain mainland, but it is not the southernmost point. The southernmost point is Lizard Point, and the southernmost settlement is Lizard. Question 7. What is the largest mountain range in Europe? That is, of course, the Alps. I thought I'd chuck an easy one in for you guys. Question 8. What is the name of the Dartford Crossing Bridge? Because it's not the Dartford Crossing, it is, of course, the Queen Elizabeth II Bridge. Okay. Question 9. Where in the world would you typically find a wild duck-billed platypus? You would, of course, find the duck-billed platypus in Australia or Tasmania. I will accept answers for either Australia or Tasmania. And question 10, how many time zones are there in Brazil? There are 4 time zones. So that round was out of 11, so have a quick tally up and keep that score to the side as we go on to our next round, which was round 3, science and medicine. Science and medicine, question 1. In which part of the body would you find the tragus? That is the ear. In fact, it is that little bit just there that some people like to get pierced. I can't see why personally, because I think it'd be quite painful, if nothing else. Question 2. What element from the periodic table is represented as CS? That is cesium. It is one of your alkali metals. Don't put it in contact with water, it will go bang. Question 3. Which toxic metal was used in the old thermometers? And that was mercury. Question 4. How many moons does Pluto have? Now, I was quite surprised to learn this, that a dwarf planet can actually have moons. I mean, what, are they going to be like the size of your fist just floating around the planet? But apparently it does. So it actually has 5 moons. And if you remember, I gave you an extra point if you could name each one. So if you could name Charon, Nix, Hydra, Styx, and Kerberos, you could achieve an extra 5 points for that round, or just for that question alone. So I'll repeat that one. The answer to question 4 in round 3 was there are 5 moons around Pluto. They are Charon, Nix, Hydra, Styx, and Kerberos. Question 5. What is the most abundant element in the universe? The answer is hydrogen. Question 6. What is the most abundant protein in the human body? And that is collagen. Collagen is the building blocks of many of your cells, as well as greater structures. When you've got a scar, that's collagen. So just think how many scars you've got over the years of cutting yourselves or getting grazes and you've got little white lines. That's all collagen. Question 7. Which nuclear process runs nuclear power plants? Now, I gave you the choice here of either fission or fusion. Hopefully, the majority of you went for fission, as that is the correct answer. Not nuclear fusion, that is only theoretical at this current time. However, physics is advancing so much that it wouldn't surprise me if we had nuclear fusion reactors soon. But at the moment, we are stuck with nuclear fission, which is splitting of the atom. Question 8. Visible light that we see is part of what spectrum? Now, that is the electromagnetic spectrum, and it is the same spectrum in which you will see microwaves, radio waves, infrared, ultraviolet, gamma rays, and so on and so forth. So it's all to do with wavelengths, and we can see a particular wavelength. So the answer is the electromagnetic spectrum. How much does 100 milliliters of water weigh? The answer was 100 grams. That's your metric system for you. If you were asked to weigh 1 ounce of water, it would make gibberish in the imperial system, which is why metric is superior. 100 milliliters of water equals 100 grams, which means that 1,000 milliliters of water, or 1 litre, equals 1 kilogram. So much easier to do the chemistry maths that way. And finally, question 10 of Science and Medicine. What are the names of the 2 pressures that you measure when taking somebody's blood pressure? They are, of course, the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure. When you go to the GP, it's the systolic pressure that the GP is typically concerned about, and if it is too high, that is when you'll be put on antihypertensive drugs. So, don't get too stressed, otherwise you'll go on into hypertensives. That round was 15 questions. So 10 questions, and there are 15 possible answers. So jot down all of your results and pop them to the side so you can tally up at the end. Then we came on to round 4, which was the lyrics round. Now I gave you lots of extra time for this because I know how annoying it is to have the lyrics of a song going around in your head. You know the song, you know the lyrics, but you can't put it down pen to paper. So let's start with question 1. You got 1 point if you correctly identified the artist, the original artist who sang the song, and the name of the song. So 2 points available for each question. Question 1. Heaven or hell? Blue skies from pain. Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail? That was Pink Floyd for 1 point and Wish You Were Here for the second. Question 2. I was a lonely teenage Bronco buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck. That was, of course, Don McLean with American Pie. Question 3. Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. And that was John Denver with Take Me Home Country Roads. Question 4. They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. Now, that's currently in the charts as we speak, so that would tell whether you've been listening to the radio, and that was The Tones and I with Dance Monkey. Question 5. At break of day, when that man drove away, I was waiting. I crossed the road to her house, and she opened the door. That was, of course, Sir Tom Jones with Delilah. Question 6. Now I'm floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, I earned my stripes. I went from zero to my own hero. And that was Katy Perry with Roar. So again, that's 1 mark for Katy Perry and 1 mark for Roar. Question 7. So why were you holding her hand? Is that the way we stand? Were you lying all the time? Was it just a game to you? And that was the Cranberries with Linger. Question 8. To you, I would give the world. To you, I'd never be cold. 'Cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's all right. I know it's right. That was, of course, the lyrics to my all-time favourite song by Fleetwood Mac, and it was Songbird was the title of the song. So we were looking for Fleetwood Mac and Songbird. Question 9. Well, I don't know why she's leaving or where she's going to go. I guess she's got her reasons, but I just don't want to know. That was, of course, Smokey with Living Next Door to Alice. And lastly, my favourite question of the round. And I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know. I know. Was, of course, the late Bill Withers singing Ain't No Sunshine. Okay. So, as stated beforehand, there were 20 possible points for that last round. So tally up your scores and leave them to the side whilst we move on to round 5, which was the sports round. Okay, round 5, question 1. Who won their first Formula One World Championship title in 2008? The answer was Lewis Hamilton. Question 2. Who captained the England football team in the 2018 World Cup? And that was Harry Kane. Question 3. Who won the Six Nations rugby tournament in 2019? And that was Wales. And to my knowledge, I believe that was the second year in a row that they won it, so they were retaining their title. Question 4. In cricket, what is the name of the individual who tactically throws the ball at the batsman? That is, of course, the bowler. Question 5. Who won the 2019 Oxford-Cambridge boat race on the Thames? That was, of course, Cambridge, who had won it the previous year. Question 6. Who hosted the 2004 Summer Olympic Games? You could have either had Greece or Athens. Since Athens is the capital of Greece, synoptically they'll go hand in hand, so I will accept points for either answer. Question 7. In the Highland Games, what event involves two teams pulling a rope against each other in order for a flag to pass a certain marker declaring them the winners? That was, of course, a childhood favourite of tug of war. Question 8. How many strokes are there in competitive swimming? There are 4 strokes, and you could name them all for 2 extra points. And if you could name either front crawl or freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, and breaststroke, you got 4 points. If you could name 3 of those, I will give you an additional point. If you name 2 or below, you get no bonus points. So question 8 was, there are 4 strokes in competitive swimming: front crawl or freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, and breaststroke. You got 2 bonus points if you named all 4, 1 bonus point if you only named 3. 9. What is the current freediving world record? And I allowed you to be accurate within 10 meters. The record currently stands at 214 meters. So you could get the point if you were in the range of 204 to 224 meters. And lastly, for the sports round, in snooker, how many points is the blue ball worth? The blue ball is worth 5 points. So in the sports round, I think I've done a bit of a miscalculation. My apologies. So I will go back and say, for question 8, there are 3 points available. So for question 8 is worth 3 points. You get 1 point for saying that there are 4 strokes in competitive swimming. You could get 2 bonus points if you named all 4 of those strokes, but you only got 1 extra bonus point if you could only name 3. So if you named 2 or below, you didn't get any bonus points. Okay, lastly, the news round. So I have got dates of all of these bits of news. So round 6, question 1. Which individual removed funding for the World Health Organization, accusing it of having failed in its basic duty? That was, of course, Donald Trump. And this news article circulated on the 14th of April, so only 3 days ago. Question 2. Which European country has recently allowed younger children under the age of 11 to return to school? That is Denmark. And that news story circulated only 2 days ago on the 15th of April. Question 3. Which country held its National Assembly election this week, whilst all 66% of the country's population that turned out adhered to social distancing measures? This was South Korea, and this news story circulated again 2 days ago on the 15th of April. This country has never postponed or delayed any form of election, even during the Korean War. Question 4. Which famous author recently, secretly, bought their childhood home in order to renovate it? That was, of course, J.K. Rowling. And this news article circulated on the 14th of April, so 3 days ago. Question 5. Which long-standing, controversial, infrastructure-related construction plan has recently got the green light to go ahead with construction, despite UK-wide lockdown? This was, of course, the High Speed 2 Railway, and this was circulated only 2 days ago on the 15th of April. Question 6. What food tree is at risk of the deadly pathogen Xylella fastidiosa, causing a potential crisis for many worldwide? This is, of course, the olive tree. The current Xylella fastidiosa is circulating around Italy, much like the coronavirus, but killing off all of the olive trees. So this news article circulated on the 14th, so 3 days ago. Question 7. Who is currently the #1 hit star on the youth-related app of TikTok? That is Drake. And this news article was circulated on the 15th of April, because apparently it's news. Question 8. Which boy band with hit songs such as History, Kiss You, and Story of My Life is toying with the idea of a reunion? Now this is One Direction, and this news article circulated 2 days ago on the 15th of April. Question 9. What has recently been threatening the old Chernobyl nuclear power plant that was only recently brought under control by the local authorities? This was, of course, a fire. An arson had set a fire locally to the power station, which was causing havoc and has been quelled by the local authorities. However, the smoke from the blaze has actually caused a smog in a nearby settlement. This news article specifically about the fire being quelled around the Chernobyl and reducing the risk of any, or rather another disaster, because apparently they can't get enough down there, was on the 14th of April, so 3 days ago. And lastly, question 10. Which WWE announcer has died today at the age of 69? And that was Howard Finkel. And that news article was circulated today. So I really wanted to make sure that the news was up to date as much as I could have spared the time. And for that round, there were 10 questions and 10 points. So let's tally up all of your totals. For round 1, you could have got 12 points for 10 questions. Round 2 was out of 11 points. Round 3 was out of 15. Round 4 was out of 20. Round 5 was out of 12. And round 6 was out of 10, summing to a whopping total of 80 points over 60 questions. Now, what I want you to do is, there is a lovely little form which is currently at the bottom of this screen. It is also in the description on the YouTube page that you are currently viewing this video. So if you scroll down and you click show more on the description, it says to please post your results up there. And hopefully we'll be able to collate and get all of the results that we can, so that next week, if we decide to run this, then we can announce the winner from this week's quiz. And if it goes on, which I hope it does, to be a weekly occurrence, then we'll be able to run it so that we can have a league table, so that when the lockdown eventually ends, we can have an overall winner of the Hampden quiz, the Hampden virtual quiz, which I don't know about you, but I think it's quite a good idea. So remember that if you missed anything, you can still rewind this video. It will be available for you to carry on viewing. So if you missed any of the questions or any of the answers, please go back. If you would like to use the questions at all at any point in any future quizzes that you can be thinking of running, then let me know and I'll be happy to provide them. If you've got any problem with the answers, well, tough, that's what I've written. So I don't pretend to know everything, but when I get it from a reputable source, that's what I'm going to go with. So unless you can prove otherwise, meh. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope there haven't been too many technical glitches, and hopefully we'll be able to run this again next week. Let me know in the comments whether it was either too fast or too slow, too hard, too easy. Any feedback, I'll be happy to take it on so that I can make improvements for next week. Okay, so all there is for now is to say thank you very much, and I do very much hope that you have enjoyed your evening, because I know that I certainly have. And so I would like to now say thank you very much. Make sure you fill out the Google form so we know the results and I can post them or let everyone know and announce them next week. Okay. But for now, take care. Good night.